Hello and welcome to the AEW Revolution 2025 preview. I'm Michael Sidgwick, joined by Michael Hamflett to discuss everything that's in store for us on Sunday's pay-per-view. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube for daily wrestling podcasts where we preview and review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Dynamite, Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have wrestler interviews on occasion, roundtable discussions, question and answer time, and we host a roundup of the week complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. Out of 10, what's your hype level for Revolution 2025?
8.5. 8 and a bloody half.
8 and a bloody half, eh?
I'll get in front of this now. I having to take a rare day off on Monday. My son's school is closed, and ordinarily, as a result,
So soon after half term?
they don't even have it on the same day. None of we're in different schools now. My kids, you might have to live with this soon. It's absolutely bloody awful.
Ah, great.
Yeah, sucks ass. Different days. He's got a bit of Wrestle Fever post Royal Rumble and Netflix access. It's all about that sort of stuff. And typically we would cover these shows early hours, especially Sunday ones going into a Monday, because there's like lots of coverage we like to get out and stuff. I think I might sit him down to his first AEW experience and see how he loves the Rumble because it's just a bunch of wrestlers. And we were talking the other day, I was like, I think it's going to be a casino one next. Now you get a bunch of AEW ones. But this card is so well laid out in terms of a bunch of big stars. You always talk about who's on the whiteboard for the AEW pay-per-view singles match. It's a spot. Adam Cole's fallen out. Who's taking that spot and so on and so on. Like, I am genuinely looking forward to watching it with him and seeing how he finds this sampler of the show, because I feel like this is proper best foot forward stuff from a company that's got, like, we would say creative momentum, if not commercial. Yeah. And that's often kind of the most exciting period of a company's rise back up.
Yeah, I don't give a toss how much money they make as long as the houses are full enough.
I think they're always more connected.
No, they are.
But we are 1997 WWE guys. Pick another example if you've got one. We know that bit's often the coolest in hindsight, and we could be about to kind of start.
No, I mean, as long as the houses are full, no matter how big the houses are, that's the extent of my give a toss about that. But AEW Revolution 2025 takes place Sunday, March 9th. Per WrestleTix, 9,652 tickets are out, which is very, very good. It's going to look amazing. It's hopefully going to sound amazing. They've ran Cali before. Some of the matches that they've held there, Escalera de la Muerte, very, very, very loud indeed. And they did the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers on a Rampage, if you remember. Basically every single time they've been to California, they've had a really enthusiastic response, and they haven't been there all too often. Obviously, pandemic reasons, it took them ages to visit there in the first instance. So I'm expecting, a packed or looks packed house, very enthusiastic, rabid response from everyone there at the Crypto.com Arena, which is obviously, everyone's saying it, alternatively called the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, California, the city of angels. I have an agenda. Long-time listeners will recall this agenda, and I will say it and try and manifest it into existence on every single AEW pay-per-view preview podcast. Sorry for that many P's. Alliteration is a dickhead's business. Yeah. It's a dickhead's business. Right. I want Mercedes Mone versus Momo Watanabe, which is being wrestled for the TBS title, to go on first. I want, at some bloody point, a women's match to open an AEW pay-per-view. I say the same thing every preview. You're simply going to have to listen to it again. The reason why is, it's twofold, okay? One, you are going to get the most enthusiastic, awake, generous response to the pay-per-view opener, okay? It is the time where it's like, yes, I bought this ticket ages ago. I'm very excited to see the show. My God, the TV is trending in a great direction. I'm in a good mood as an AEW fan. I'm in the building. This rules. I've had a beer or two if I'm doing that. Yep. Let's go. The proper show starting after the pre-show. That feeling creates like this base level of heat that simply does not exist when, hang on, my tits have been blown off about 4 or 5 times. I forgot this match was even happening, and that's the lull. I want Mercedes versus Watanabe to open for that reason and this one on Reddit threads, and all of these things individually, right, pile on top of each other to create a sort of lore and a bit of, mythology around certain wrestlers and all the rest of it. On Reddit threads, part of the lore. Twitter engagement accounts, message boards, listicles. There's not one ever saying, what was the best third match on a pay-per-view ever? There isn't.
Yeah.
There are great matches that happen to be third that are remembered as being great and will get talked about and they've endured. But this is just a cheat code to get matches into conversations that go on for ages. And the more you do this, the more, hang on, is the women's division really important? Yeah. This stuff isn't difficult if you just try. Yeah. So if this goes on first and it blows people away, people will talk about it in the years to come as what the best pay-per-view openers ever. I've got Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio, MJF versus Darby, Brett versus Owen. I remember Mercedes versus Watanabe from Revolution 2025. That was great. And if you do that more often, the women's division somehow becomes more prominent and important. Another reason as well is, yes, Watanabe is wrestling Serena Deeb on Collision. Might have already happened by the time you listen to this. It's certainly already happened live in the arena when you're listening to this, because we are recording after the match has taken place. But very few people, I'd wager, are really going to watch that. No one's going to know what Watanabe's finish is or what in-ring arsenal looks like. This feels like it's fighting an uphill battle, and I think the clearest path to victory is by putting it on first. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be very good, but as I've taken about 3 minutes to talk about, my obvious worry here is the lack of heat and the lack of drama, because no one's buying that Mercedes is going to lose. So uphill battle for me. Ceiling's high, but they've raised it themselves.
Yeah, it's the age-old conversation that extends, as we've talked about at length in a million podcasts, but it's always worth having the chat, I think, that extends beyond AEW, extends beyond these two wrestlers and this pay-per-view into how there will never be like-for-like fairness extended to the women. We are speaking in a week where Carmella has spoken about feeling that having a baby and some of the various things that were related to taking time off for pregnancy has brought to an end a relationship with WWE that she thought could have been done in such a nice way after 12 years of service and what she felt was a good relationship. And it's that reminder that women do have to run a different race in wrestling, no matter how much the companies can tell you there is equality and parity and everything. Even if they were actually following that through, it still wouldn't be true. Yeah. Because women's lives and careers are always set to potentially go different to men's. So straight away, they don't have this like standing start. Then when you factor in just the traditional inbuilt, we can call it what it is, like sexism and misogyny, even when it's not by design, things like women's storylines being contained to titles only. My personal protestations with the Intercontinental and US titles and WWE's being introduced was just belts. Yeah. Like, yes, it might force 2 more women's matches onto the shows, but they're just for belts. They're not training the audience to think the story matters just as much. Yeah. Like, where's the tree for the women in any American wrestling, And there has been no attempt here at all other than to put a defense on Mercedes' record. That's what this match exists to do. Put a defense on Mercedes' record. A
bit of an international critical acclaim bait.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly a bit of like critical, like there's a bit of flavour to this. The match on the night, as you say, could deliver in spite of the things put in front of it. I would love this to open. I would love this to steal the show. I would love all of these things because, we can, as we do, talk about there being need.
Podcasts will be shorter.
Need for more women's matches on Dynamite, but it's also about like what those women's matches come to represent. And it's the idea that, I think it was worth you, like I know you think you go around the houses sometimes, but like articulating that experience of being in the building with your pint in your hand or with your merch bought or whatever it is, that experience of sitting down and the lights go down and then they come back up and pop, whatever. And then you are...
Where it's going to work now.
Exactly that. You are fired up for the first wrestler that comes out. I've always said if you can't go on last, you're going first, right? And even that isn't afforded to the women. The 2 matches are for the 2 belts that might one day be unified. It's not even for just a story with emotion or weekly segments that are built to it. There's nobody's house getting set on fire in the women's division ever. The least that could be extended is to be given spots, actual spots that matter. I can't say happening, but I would love it if it did. And the cool thing about Mercedes Mone is she continues to be this woman that feels like she has stroke.
She's had openers and main events on TV before.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's a prize
influence.
position.
She feels like she's got influence.
Yeah, you can imagine a lot of people in AEW want that opening match and it's like ask Tony, if they can get it. I mean, I would, because there's nothing worse. Or like you feel so guilty. Like again, these pay-per-views are often absolutely seminal. Like just incredible.
The house tells you that it's the one thing that AEW can still do well at the box office.
Yeah, absolutely.
People literally buy into these.
Having said that, I feel like such a jaded prick wrestling fan. I mean, I kind of am, but I feel like really bad sometimes. I'm like, oh, God, I forgot this one was happening. I forgot this match was happening. And you haven't done the calculations in your head when you're watching it, when you're starting to tire a little bit and you want to pull through and keep your energy levels up. And it's like, oh, God, I forgot this one was happening. I'd want to go first. Mercedes, come on. We know you're influential. We do like Tony a great deal sometimes, but when he was feckless. Talk to him.
She's got some form as well, and like that spot with like there's the firecracker within Mercedes Mone is starting to like emerge out of her again, and with the hot crowd, like the difference is night and day when that sort of stuff's playing out to silence versus the heat of a buzzing building, isn't it?
Absolutely. A match that, quite frankly, is like unbelievably great in and of itself in a vacuum. I suspect that I'm going to forget, oh, God, I forgot this match was happening, and it's going to go on about 6th, and I might not love it that much. It's Kazuchika Okada versus Brody King for the Continental title. Now, I love this, in theory. I would, if this was like a Dynamite or a Collision main event, maybe Dynamite because, it's got more importance attached to it as a show, and they say, all right, we're doing Okada versus Brody King, I'd be like, yes. I'd be sat on the preview, absolutely buzzing that we get to see it. On pay-per-view, if it's like a 9-match 4-hour card, the 8th and 9th most important matches are often plagued by that feeling of, oh yeah, this one.
Yeah.
And it never has the same heat it would if it was a TV main event, But you never know, this could open. This could go second when you're fired up still and you haven't really reached that mid-pay-per-view lull yet. Okada he's a genius, obviously, and he's still got that genius in him. He's in his Toby Keith era, as good once as he ever was, even though he ain't as great as he once was. Peak, on the subject though of peak Kazuchika Okada, who I suspect is going to win. Another bit of a problem, but we are where we are with this sort of thing. It's not the time. Hopefully this match is so good that it builds this case and justifies this long title reign and maybe even does something for the title. I'm not convinced, but whatever. Okada's best opponent is either Omega or Tanahashi, right? He's worked magic with everyone. That's part of the byproduct of being as talented as Okada. He's simply, other than weirdly Bryan Danielson, he has chemistry with everyone. One of his most underrated title defenses, like big matches, Bad Luck Fale.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yep.
He's pretty good at working someone who's like, I'm meant to be this like incredibly tall, muscled, athletic. I have every physical gift and I'm wonderful at flexing it, So him working Bad Luck Fale was like, oh, that's a completely different texture to the usual Okada match, a different approach. And he was always great at it. What I would love to see, and let's see if he can get back up for it, is Brody King doing his barking. And then that's when Okada somehow magically levitates into that drop kick.
He'll mock the barking first.
He'll
be a dog himself. He'll do like
you could do the Baron. Remember when Baron Corbin was having that feud with Roman Reigns?
Yeah,
and it was basically your nickname is the Big Dog, so I'm going to take the mick out of dogs.
Dog stuff.
And I'm thinking, what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah,
I'd rather watch AEW. Thank you on the other channel. But I always remember he did. Done this little remix of your theme tune to piss you off, and it was and then Corbin, there was a stitch. He's like holding his sides. It was all good stuff.
All good stuff.
He was holding his sides together.
So the dirty dogs.
Yeah. And Rowan was just like, what's happened to my career? I might want to try and turn heel in the next year.
I got a black jacket on.
So what I'm saying is that was bad, but because I'm obviously a AEW bias shill, if Okada does it, it'll be funny.
It
probably will be. It will be. Yeah.
He likes saying bitch. That's a dog. It's a female dog.
Yeah.
So that's anything.
What if he grabs... Don't know. What if he grabs the microphone because he can't, like, project, and he just gets the microphone and goes, and people are like laugh, and then he just gets like
first 2 minutes he just gets pounded all over by Brody King. Like, don't take the piss out of me, mate.
Yeah, so he does. He gets the advantage on Brody King, and he does that, and then Brody just like just smashes him.
Yeah,
with a lariat, then puts him on the chair, and then does that unbelievable senton that he does against the barricade.
Yeah,
this could be. I don't think this has got much of a chance of going 18 minutes, stealing the show. I don't think the match is booked for that purpose. But provided it's in the correct slot and there's a bit of brevity to it in terms of the match length and there's a bit of levity to it in terms of the tone, this could be a lot of fun and not like that sort of, 7 matches deep. I'm almost ready for the main event obligation.
Hey, Sidge, is this hiding something? Okada beat Buddy Matthews.
Certainly did.
I know he got injured, but he beat Buddy Matthews in Australia. And now he's going to beat Brody King in California, Brody King's home state. So they're doing the WWE B-show philosophy with Okada as a heel.
Yeah.
He'll take your hometown guy and then he'll beat you. Who else from California and notable by their absence on this show? Because it's Okada's friends, the Young Bucks.
Yes.
Is this hiding what would have been a setup for the Young Bucks versus the Hounds of Hell as the Young Bucks return match program? It might have to be slightly delayed because of Buddy's little knock, but might they return to get like some enormous pep in California after the Okada's won and then just like absolutely batter Brody King, and Buddy's got to recover, and then Buddy and Brody take on the Young Bucks as like a nice tag foo-ed to welcome the Young Bucks back to this like restructured tag division. Because they feel like they've turned up in this state for Nuge as surprise guys.
Yeah.
This is still a home promotion.
This feels like I can't see them going up against a Hurt Syndicate unless it's like we're going to do one more match as heels. You play situational, babyface. We lose, and it's like, right, okay, well, we need to get back to winning ways.
Exactly, yeah.
So that could happen.
Kills the heel characters, basically.
They might strive here for one of the best genres of match is to hold your hands up. I did not expect this to be so blow away awesome. I'm currently working for WhatCulture.com/WWE on 30 greatest matches in AEW history. Spoiler alert, one of which is the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory. I remember previewing that match and going, it's the 7th match on a 10-match show or whatever it was, and it probably won't get much heat, and it's one match too many, and I just can't really imagine it being good. And it was so amazing.
Yeah.
Like the platform they built for that babyface comeback, like Bones was injured, Keith Lee was Keith Lee, Swerve was like pretty, like he looked like he was going to be someone immediately. And it's like the Acclaimed, like, a glorified manager and like a good rookie prospect in Bones, you know. Well, a good prospect, not a good rookie. And then they just sort of rose to that occasion. It's like, oh, that was amazing. Maybe the idea is the Young Bucks come in and they want to treat Brody King so seriously that they give this time and they give this a focus spot. So they protect them in defeat by having the Young Bucks interfere and help Okada, and then they come back together. Who knows? There's a high ceiling on this. I'm just cynical about it. But guess what? I'm cynical about most things. That doesn't necessarily mean it is going to be mid. I expect it to be quite mid. Next up to preview Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet, the winner of which will become the #1 contender to the AEW World title. This will get time. This will get a good slot. This is not going to follow, you'd expect, Ospreay versus Fletcher in a steel cage. I expect it to follow something like Mercedes versus Watanabe, and they've built this big on TV. They see huge things for Swerve Strickland. I mean, clearly they see potentially the biggest thing in Swerve Strickland and strapping him up again if, in fact, he beats Ricochet, which the booking patterns indicate that he will. But as much as it's predictable, it's not predictable. It's predictable, but I want to see it. I want to see Swerve beat this prick Ricochet, because he is so good, Ricochet, at being this obnoxious arsehole. Like when he did the gritty, I was just like, house call him in the face. Yeah. House call him in the face. He is great at generating intra-match heat. Where it's like, you're 39, rolling on 30s. Fact. You know, it's all rigged. It's a pro wrestling thing. And you feel things for it, but, moderately. When Ricochet just turns it on, you're like, oh, you You bellend knobhead. Just get your look wiped off your face. And there are a few better at being cool baby faces who you want to see chin spark out heels and Swerve Strickland. I've loved this program. It has been the joint highlight of AEW over the past however many months. I expect this to get time. I thought the first match on Dynamite was really strong, just shy of great, but like the powerbomb on the barricade, like it was very creative. The glimpses of their chemistry again in that tag on Dynamite, again, perfect go-home fodder, because you saw that and thought, I will want more of that.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm going to watch the pay-per-view. That scorpion bump from Ricochet was A, disgusting, and B, you know they're going to escalate this sort of stuff and build on it more at the pay-per-view because that's what you do. Mm-hmm. This is going to be great. And you've got an idea for the modifications that Ricochet promised for Jimmy Rave's embassy robe.
Yeah, what a little bastard. Like, I think he might have just, like, either a bejeweled or Jericho-esque light up. Like, that as an emoji, or the spiky R on his video when he comes out for Ricochet. Just that splayed across the back.
Yeah.
Like, total, like, contrasting colours to the robe itself, which is very colourful, but something that, like, leaps out. Maybe it's little. Hideous, basically. The sort of thing where even if Prince Nana has that robe returned to him, it's still going to leave a bit of resentment between himself and Swerve.
Yeah.
It's enough that even that's happened. Never mind that, he's got the robe back. It's like, yeah, I've got it back, but at what cost?
At what cost?
So, yeah, like, I love Swerve winning for the creative avenues this can take as a result. He is likely to, like, Swerve's a great opponent for whoever leaves this pay-per-view as the world champion, and there's realistically 3 options rather than just 2, isn't there, for that as well. So he's a great opponent for any of them. It's great to feel like he's back in the number 1 contender spot, even if he can't win the title back yet. And maybe he can, but because you never know if AEW might, you never know if they might pivot away from whatever the big Death Riders grand plan was, because Darby Allin's halfway up Everest, So that's always up in the air, at very least. So Swerve being back in that slot makes for a captivating match because you could buy him becoming world champion again. He's an established top guy. Simultaneously, Ricochet in defeat, when he's probably felt, this character has felt so close to that big victory for the first time, gets nastier. So maybe Swerve can't get the robe back, and Ricochet is still holding on to that robe. Is again what sort of like forces that wedge further between Swerve and Nana, but now them splitting, the stakes are way higher for Swerve than they are right now.
Yeah.
If they were to split when Swerve's got his title shot or whatever, even worse for Swerve, and Ricochet has done that.
Yeah.
And I love how AEW is finally returning to this idea that, like, I'm as surprised as you or anybody else is that somehow WWE have taken from them, that there's like cause and effect up and down the card. We are seeing that again in AEW.
Yeah.
That, like, matches are impacting other matches because the wrestlers should live in the world and not in the zones, as you've articulated it. And it's like, for me, this is heel Ricochet away from Swerve, but applying this character and all that this character's gained and learned from this story with Ricochet, with Swerve, to someone brand new is great.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already excited for Ricochet's next TV feud because this character is now so well drawn and adding layer upon layer by the week, literally in the case of the robe, that whoever he faces for Dynasty and beyond has got value because they're feuding with Ricochet. That's star creation.
Yeah.
And he's going to lose here and not see his star diminished one bit. It's so pleasing for me to be able to talk about AEW wrestlers in these terms.
Yeah.
The win and loss matters. You're right, it's predictable. But the win
It's
and
good
loss,
predictable.
Good predictable. The win and loss matter because the winner in Swerve is going to go on to this title shot, and that's what it's all supposed to be about. And the loser, Ricochet, is going to do something pretty horrible to somebody or going to be horrible in someone's life.
Yeah.
If he needs a win, right, this is just off the top of my dick. If he needs a win and they can go to heel Ricochet versus back on the rise babyface Adam Cole, for example, and Ricochet beats him. And he's like, what the hell has become of you, Adam? We lit it up once upon a time. Now look at you. Like, that's perfect for Ricochet. Pissed off, bitter, nasty, cruel, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm excited for both of them coming off the back of this. A total success story. And, like, I'm excited for the match, but I'm more excited for what they do next now. I'm ready for it to be over, but in all the good ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here's an interesting proposition that I wouldn't have booked, but I think I'm into it in terms of in the context of the card because it ain't going long. And this is purely because I'm a Brit who's got two children and I'm tired. Any bit of brevity in pro wrestling. On the subject, actually, of brevity in pro wrestling, go and watch Ivar versus Inamura from WWE Speed. 3 minutes where the story is someone, I won't spoil who wins it, but they're both trying to do it. Two men try to inflict CTE so quickly that one of them gets gassed but somehow still wins.
Yes.
Awesome. If this match is as good as this, it won't be. I'll be ecstatic. It might go under 3 minutes as well. It is the Hurt Syndicate versus the Outrunners for the AEW World Tag Team title. Here's how I would do this, right? I guess there's two approaches, and it's which one you go for. The Outrunners, I get popped by them every single time. If you're anything like me, and I know that I am, just great stuff, right? I would do this in one of two ways. I can't decide which one I like more. Either you do a big video package, similar to the one on Dynamite, but maybe even add a bit more to it, because this is the black comedy of it, right? Where you have footage, in that aspect ratio, in the filter, in the low res, in the snowstorm. This is the 80s effect. Very synthy, either synthy music and or power warrior rock. The stuff that would go on the Jean-Claude Van Damme soundtracks and stuff. And they are like, we're gonna do this, like the story of the Outrunners and green screen, the AWA stuff.
Yeah.
When they try to be futuristic, and it was absolutely hilariously bad.
The Minnesota record.
Yeah.
Green screen. Yeah.
Stuff like that where they can green screen the Dallas Sportatorium.
Yeah.
They can green screen something that looks like the AWA of the old, and something that's got a look and a grainy look that would look that looks like.
We're back in Los Angeles, when we were at the Coliseum.
The
100,000 Olympic Coliseum.
Yeah. And then they've got this is when we worked the Forum. This is when we worked when it was big time in St. Louis, stuff like that. And then nice 3 minute video of now is the time. We've been working decades for this. And they come out. Hurt Syndicate come out, kill them in a minute. In 1 minute.
Ricochet, why can't I win? But good.
Yeah. Just like that, a 1 minute of,
yeah.
And then MVP cackling. That's route one. Route two is they kind of do something similar, less for the purposes of really black comedy, really mean-spirited but funny. You guys suck and you're totally deluded. And they, Hurt Syndicate are just, this is probably how it will go. We'll laugh, toy with them. Maybe Lashley can just do a Dominator or a Spear. 1, 2, pick them up, smile, I'm actually, this is quite fun. I don't want to win just yet. Then small package. What we're doing here.
Yeah.
How would you do this? Because I would do the latter. Maybe a bit more dignity they deserve for getting over.
Yeah.
But the whole point is they're getting over because they're comedy characters. Maybe black comedy is the way to go.
I agree. Yes, they're over. But I think this is one of those situations where you use however they are for the benefit of the Hurt Syndicate. I love this booking. I was so disinterested in the idea of them facing Don Callis' monsters. This card didn't need that match. AEW pay-per-views are long and loaded. And it didn't, not only did it not need that match, but it didn't need a long Hurt Syndicate title defense when you are still establishing, very effectively, I should add, the Hurt Syndicate as squash guys. More of these. I'd have saved the Lance Archer Brian Cage thing for their first series challenge, 5 defenses in. You've never met a team like us before.
Yeah.
That's when you would have done that. And certainly on a Dynamite or a Collision where there's breathing space for it to go a little bit longer. I don't want to see the Hurt Syndicate defend the titles in anything over 7.5 minutes. And even 5 is what I actually mean, but 7.5 minutes is the thing you have to say.
5. You don't have to say nothing on this podcast.
You got to be 5? Yeah, I wouldn't.
We don't play by the rules.
That's kind of what we do here. We don't play by the rules. I got a rule book down here, but all I do is stomp on it. I just don't care enough about protecting people.
No,
I don't. I echo every one of your sentiments about the Outrunners, and there'll be countless other acts as well that I do. But hierarchies are good.
Yeah, no.
They make stars.
Yeah.
We just talked about it with Swerve and Ricochet. Ricochet's going to lose. What's going to happen to him? He's going to go into something cool.
Yeah.
Because there's a hierarchy in place, and he's found his spot in it, and he's working to get even higher up there.
Yeah.
Like, Hurt Syndicate make this place feel a bit like there's a little bit of the Shark Tank mentality coming back, and I want that to be manifested in the work as well as the shoot.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for everybody that this happens. And on a pay-per-view where lots of things need the time, this one doesn't.
Yeah.
A minute. Like
a minute.
Are the Outrunners even hurt by losing a minute?
Of course they're not.
Of course they're not. In fact, there's probably no act better suited to recover themselves.
Yeah.
Like,
because they can because there's like the whole deal is they're so deluded. They turn up on Collision, Dynamite, whatever, days after this and go, God, we got this close.
Yeah.
We got this close after they got like their asses handed to them in like a 1 minute squash. And
we're getting back on track tonight. And then they do.
Yeah. You can do anything because like, maybe 1 minute, nice bit of black comedy for the benefit of the card. That shouldn't go too long, or at least feel too long. They are two very different things, as we've established. Something that will get time, guaranteed, and something that will make exquisite use of the time because they do it every single time, is Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher in a steel cage match. This match terrifies me. Wrestling has this way. It also fascinates me and thrills me as a prospect, you know. But wrestling and wrestlers have this deal where they believe, and this is across the board, man, you have to do better than the last time this sort of thing happened, or go harder, or whatever. Rarely is, how do we do it smarter? Asked, you know. In AEW's law of the steel cage match, like, there's an expectation. Who expects it? This is like one of the best, most like really attritional, like unsettling, like just there's hatred coming out of this match from every pore, and they do a masterful job of limiting themselves and making it seem like they really hurt each other. They are using this cage, and it could be flecked red from blood from every sort of stitch in the head. And it's like this amazing thing, which, guess what? Because it's Will Ospreay on an AEW pay-per-view, it's virtually guaranteed to be. Is there anyone who's going to say, sucks because they didn't go off the top of the cage? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a lot of wrestlers think, how do we build on this? Like Mick Foley, we all remember, King of the Ring 1998, the entire basis for him going to the top of the cage is, well, I can't do what Shawn did.
Yeah.
And he flew halfway off it. So the only way in his wrestler head that this worked for him was, I have to go off the top.
Yeah.
So Cody did the moonsault against Wardlow. Phoenix did a cross-body block, I believe, against Young Bucks at All Out 2021. Mox and Omega didn't, but then they used every single weapon. I wonder if they'll use too many weapons in this.
Britt and Thunder Rosa didn't, I don't think.
No. Well, so maybe the precedent isn't there, and I'm, you know...
But the precedent is there. It's better than Blood and Guts. They've looked after the steel cage. Like, they've all been good, the steel cage matches. Good to great.
Absolutely. Maybe I'm being pessimistic because, one, it's just my nature. I'm sorry.
Kenny cut his balls open.
Either. Yeah, all your little bitch favourite wrestlers like CM Punk, I'm going to bump on my back. He bumped on his gooch.
I should.
That's because that's how much he loves the game.
What are you making all that for? I love them both.
Yeah, indeed. Right. I'm talking about ways that this might be too scary for its own good or a little bit grabby because, I mean, there's no way this is going to be bad. I've got a fantasy booking spot for this, by the way, before I get your thoughts on the match. Right. This is going to be harrowing and distressing, and they're going to not lose the thread of how much they hate each other. There'll be spectacular components to it as well. Their chemistry is like... Everything looks like it's being landed or delivered, like the heads are being driven down with such snap and crunch, and it looks awesome. Like their sequence at Grand Slam Australia was just like, how the hell can you do this?
Yeah,
it just looks like they're giving each other CTE. It's amazing. More of it, and we're getting more of it in a steel cage. So I feel like There's one more thing I want to talk about before I get to my fantasy booking spot, right? One is in a lot of AEW cage matches and just cage matches in general, the idea is that they believe, promoters, agents, wrestlers, whoever, that the cage itself is not considered a good enough weapon. To which I would reply, why have a cage match in the first place? But there is a maximalist, excessive approach to the modern cage match everywhere. Even New Japan did their, like, Plunder War Games,
Yeah.
Which, incidentally, is the only time I think I can recall, at least in a major match, Will Ospreay going hog wild with a lot of toys and weapons.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in seeing what he would do in something like Texas Death or Lights Out.
Anarchy in the arena.
Yeah. His mind and how exciting he is with, like,
the sandbox.
And the toys and the weapons. But we're going to be here for a long time yet with Will Ospreay. He's still like 31. It's ridiculous. 31 or 32.
We're on our 30s.
Fact. Why not have a minimalist proper steel cage match and then do something with your next major fierce rival down the road? Why not both? It's Ospreay. It somehow never gets boring. Yeah. So either way, this is just not going to not be great. Fantasy booking spot is, I think they are going to have a competition between themselves of who can make the most satisfying splat against the cage, where they're going to get trunks grabbed, thrown into it, turned backwards. They're going to splat off it, and because they've got these really ridiculous rubber bodies, bump off the cage and then spring off it and into the middle of the canvas and stain that red with that blood. So in my head, and then they can do that fall as well, where they stick to it and slide down in that gap that that's ridiculously big AEW steel cage has.
On one side and not the other. Is that right?
No, it looks like it looks like a steel cage Hell in a Cell hybrid, but there's just not that much space to do anything.
Yeah.
I would just change it to a Hell in a Cell shape personally, but that's just me. So he's like, Fletcher's got Ospreay. Into the cage you go, splat or bounce. Second time, and then maybe one more time. Then these things work better on rule of 3. Gets it, thrown into it, springboard Oz cutter, and that could be your double down.
Yeah.
This is awesome, fight forever. We're not worthy chant that you would get. If there's anything off the top of the cage, given how precise he is, what if he does a space? What's his big aerial space? Not space flying tiger. Is that what the one that he does?
Well, that's the running one, isn't it? So
Sky Twister.
Oscar's got a Sky Twister.
He likes the Sky Twister.
He can do like
I think he likes them both. I think, but
they got the Phoenix Splash as well, like on the inverted one, and he can. He can't do a double rotation like Ricochet, can he?
He used to be able to. He said, "Did you listen to him on Chris Van Vliet?"
No.
He says he can't do half the stuff that he did in his 20s, and like Van Vliet was like, and I was as well. Like, there's nothing you can't do. You Will Ospreay. And he's like, no, go back and watch it. There's stuff I can't do anymore. But he loves that Sky Twister. He does like the Tiger Drop, but increasingly the Sky Twister is his big aerial signature. What if he just does that off the top of the cage?
Tiger Driver 91 off the cage.
Shut up, man.
Something's coming off the cage.
And
the Stormbreaker doesn't work. The Oz Cutter doesn't work. The Hidden Blade doesn't work. So, like his 3, you cannot do. Could you do the Stormbreaker? No. Like the 3, maybe the Stormbreaker. The acceleration from the top of the height. It's none of the 3 really lend themselves. So something off the top, possibly as a finishing spot, could be it. But is Mark Davis going to put a screwdriver through the mesh to Ospreay? Is the reveal here that he's like the beat down on Wednesday was the step too far that they kind of did allude to as well, and like he either rejects, like Callis is saying, hand him the weapon, he says, no, I'm not going to do it, or he sparks out Callis and he gives a screwdriver.
Because Fletcher Davis seems like a direction
that's
they could go into
going, isn't it?
after.
Gives
Fletcher will need something to do.
That's a good idea. His win next, like. So Davis kind of frees himself from that here by helping Ospreay a win, and it's more screwdriver and feud ending stuff rather than needing to finish with a big. But then it's these two; they are going to want something big, aren't they?
Absolutely.
I'm with you. Like it is very hard to fantasy book, but it's very easy to know this will be great.
It's going to be absolutely outstanding. Ospreay's going to do some like Spider-Man stuff where he sticks to the cage and then jumps off it somehow.
I'm excited.
He's going to be so creative with it.
I'm excited for like Fletcher in the big match loser position as well.
Yeah.
Like everything that he does at the moment feels like you don't even realise how many tests he's about to pass, and then he comes out and passes a bunch of tests. Every single time he impresses me.
I've got a feeling this is going to steal a show.
Yeah.
There are two big contenders, really, for that to happen. We'll get to one of them imminently. The next one, which they should keep apart from Ospreay versus Fletcher, because it's also the promise of violence. Falls count anywhere, no holds barred. The Hollywood ending between Toni Storm and Mariah May seems obligatory. I expect Toni Storm to win. I believe that the use of plunder and high spots, provided it doesn't follow this cage match, which, I mean, you don't have to be able to see in the future to think one match is probably going to be better than the other.
This is the one that needs the blood more so than the cage.
They'll both have it. They'll both have it. I reckon there might be too much blood on this show.
I was going to say, do you think the main event might feature blood?
I think probably, yeah.
Because if anything, you could lift the blood off the main event and give it to this match in the cage. And I can't see Mox and Cope having any problem with having the blood taken off.
No, me neither. No, the cage or this should open, really. If you're going to have 3 blood matches, and Kenny likes to blade as well.
Well, bloody.
If you're going to have 3 blade matches, opener, main event, 1, 4th, or 5th. You know, that's how I would sequence it, if in fact there's going to be the red mask in all of them.
I'm proud that we're campaigning for either of the women's matches to be the opener.
Yes, absolutely.
Good reason for both.
Yeah, this is a good reason.
Yeah.
I would do this first, to be honest, especially when I think this is classic pro wrestling, elongating things, in which no one really is actively going, yes, a 3rd match, wonderful. They know that, hence why they've stepped it up to add an extra degree of intrigue to it. Again, context is everything. If this gets the right slot, people will be up for it. And who doesn't love mad weapons? There's going to be a heel. I do have a reservation about this match, in that one of the angles that built towards it was this big melodramatic sort of soliloquy where Mariah May dragged Toni Storm into the spotlight. I worry there's going to be overt production to it, where it looks they're trying to do things to make themselves seem cleverer than it is, and it's just going to come off contrived, doing things by the spotlight, maybe a weird lighting choice, this Hollywood aesthetic production to it. I worry it's going to look contrived. It shouldn't. It never, ever works, ever. But I worry that the whole Hollywood, I think that there might be a little sense of acceptance of this thing's ending at the right time. Maybe even it has peaked. Let's overcorrect, try too hard, and make it look fancy or different when that's just going to look fake and contrived.
Yeah. No, I get your concerns, especially because, as we say, like this feels absolutely like a self-imposed necessity rather than something that necessarily people are clamouring for. But if they are afforded the blood and the violence, as they should be, it will fill in what felt like a bit of a gap from the Australia match, where that was done for sentiment and hometown support more than it was the feud ender, and now we obviously know why. I think the way to get this right is to just sensibly move up the gears. So if you want to do Hollywood stuff, film anything, it's wrestling. You can be very broad with one word like Hollywood. So if you want to be like smashing each other with popcorn in the early going, do it early while it's comedic, because Toni Storm's a comedic character that is very good at pivoting into something serious, as we've seen when these angles have been as great as they've been. Mariah May is very good at existing in Toni Storm's weird cartoon world, despite being theoretically closer to reality when she's not being dragged in. So you can do funny stuff, you can do Luther stuff, you can have them like fight in the crowd a little bit, you could have them
Luther, cloche, shoe, or a different weapon.
Yeah, that's
or a second cloche.
Seat them, have them seated in some chairs that have been specially arranged to like be pointed at the big screen, and have like Toni Storm have her arm around Mariah May, pointing up at the screen as she watches herself, like get something in the face or something like that. I don't know, but cinema-y sort of stuff.
The shoe should factor in at the finish.
I think I might have the finish usage. So like obviously the old sort of fashion cinema has like the red velvet curtains. Like Toni Storm's shoes are like these like red what is it? Not necessarily a velvet one, but that sort of thing, that like red material shoes. And then, because obviously there's been the 2 famous shoe attacks to the head. She draws the curtains on Mariah May, and it's like shoes on either side, heels first, squelch the head together. Like she said, it was Storm Zero. Mariah May is like just up to her knees, bang, like that. Both shoes into the side of her head. Curtains drawn on Mariah May. End of the story. Something violent. Violence more than comedy to wrap it up.
Yeah.
To help Mariah May not become what Toni Storm, like chillingly foreshadowed that she might.
Choke spot with a red robe.
Yeah,
Things like that. They could use props. I will permit the use of props. I just don't want a terrible, distracting, fake lighting choice.
Well, because what Toni Storm said was like foreshadowing. It was too real, wasn't it? Like Mariah May could become the next one-time AEW Women's Champion that fades away.
Yeah,
but
they could tell a story on the back of that.
Yeah, they could. Yeah. Like if there's more for her next, and you'd like to think there is in this more.
Like whatever happened to Mariah May? She hasn't been on Dynamite very often recently. That sort of
for all of this to end with everybody constantly asking, as Toni Storm said it, whatever happened to Mariah May is the real stuff as well. Yeah. That's AEW getting it right from end to end. Yeah. That's RJ City, like walking off into the sunset. Like we did it.
Yeah,
we did it. You know, that's the whole point, isn't it? So
absolutely. 3 more matches to preview. The potential show stealer is what we're getting to next. We've talked about what should open for, the best sequence of the card, or to actually try and elevate in importance the women's division. Here's what I think will open: MJF versus Hangman Page. I've got a feeling that MJF knows the value.
Yes.
I know he's got influence. He knows the value of the opener. He's been here before. He's opened pay-per-views to brilliant effect. That one with Darby Allin.
Oh,
one of the best
turning points for him, I think, for MJF.
Yeah,
turning point for him.
That was one of those where it's like, I don't care who you signed. I'm in this.
He's got all of it.
Yeah, he's got all of it. And, you can sign whoever you want. I'm MJ freaking F. He's obviously wrestling Hangman Page. I know this is going to be very good. I don't care that the one time they've interacted in the ring in AEW before this was actively bad. Like, MJF has, improved... so much.
2019
Dynamite.
It's a Steve Austin entire run ago, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
That's different world, isn't it?
Messed up the crossroads. I mean, he did it the very next week, which is a really cool idea. But no one cares about that. It will not be the same match at all. This is going to get an absolutely massive reaction in the building. This is the most over feud in AEW. It feels like this is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
People who feel like they are AEW through and through, fighting against each other on one of those old narrative principles of AEW of don't give it all away. We can build and build and build, and we can have wrestlers sometimes not even interact for ages to make it mean something and to save something. The match quality should be absolutely tremendous. You've got a little glimpse of this physical chemistry. The nutshot, buckshot counter was it's so perfectly timed. And I've got no idea, A, who's going to win, B, how longer this feud is going to go on, if Hangman is going to be feuding with Swerve Strickland or teaming with Swerve Strickland or whatever going forward. I don't know where the pieces fit. All I know is that I'm fascinated how it plays out. I expect this could be, not including the cage match, the loudest match on the show and the biggest show stealer, and I include a Kenny Omega match in that. And because it's because the rhythm's different of the usual MJF program and the beats are not the same. He hasn't done the TV match.
Yeah.
He's very good at MJF at hiding that. Pro wrestling is inherently a political enterprise. A lot of wrestlers share wins if you tally it all up. Like I'm sure if you do the FTR Young Bucks program from 2020 to now, it's 50-50.
Yeah.
But they've just hidden it away, But they haven't done the TV match. I don't know if it's going to Dynasty stepped up or what, or if AEW is truly back. They love to do a definitive, no, this person won, this person lost. And the person who lost, Hangman Page, did this a lot. Has to reckon with that.
Yeah.
MJF did it. It was like, oh, Christ, I got beat off Mox. There's not going to be a rematch. I'll have to, how do you get ahead? Stable. Character development.
It was better that, wasn't it?
It was better that.
Yeah.
Maybe this could, if it's a true return to form, maybe you do in fact get a winner and a loser here, and that's it done. And I'm going to go into it, investment-wise, on that basis. I'll be hanging on every single near fall here. I've got the feeling that the loudest near falls will be in this match because I don't know who's going to win. You can make a case for either. It's going to rule this.
Yeah.
Just big time drama.
Cannot wait. This is not even a hot take at this point, is it? Like leaps and bounds more investment, interest, and stakes to this than the actual goddamn world title match. Like by orders of magnitude, this feels bigger. It's a reminder that the belt sometimes doesn't mean a goddamn thing in the industry where it's all about the characters and about you're supposed to be the belt, but if anything, you want to see these get to it because these are the characters that you love.
Yeah.
I have not been able to shake off the idea that, because I'm with you, I think MJF wins, but I think it's very much in that we know that on another day Hangman Page will get him, but he's not allowed to get him, and it's actually what for a while artificially boosts MJF's ego. We've talked about vintage MJF in the last couple of months, vintage but with updates and with upgrades and with the character that has learned a lot from his last 5 or 6 years, but with all the flavour of that old, cocky, obnoxious, layered MJF heel character. And I think the best way to proceed forward with that is to have him win here. And to, he's smart enough now to know that he's always got to have eyes in the back of his head, but for the character to be did it, proved it.
Yeah.
And then on he goes with the shadow of Hangman Page looming. Hangman Page is a great baby face from underneath a big defeat, and this is going to feel like a big defeat, but we know that he's back on the road. He's back on the right road, and that's way more important than a singular win for Hangman Page. So I can't look past the MJF win, but I'm also thinking that the finish will be Diamond Ring related, because again, it's all rooted in what really kicked it off between these two. And as part of vintage MJF, I fantasy booked this finish a gazillion times. On X this week, on Twitter, MJF with Ibu, I believe, got into his own Revolution
Friend
law.
of the channel.
Absolutely. Love you, Ibu. Got into his own Revolution law, and he mentioned about beating guys with headlock takeovers. And I was like, he's trying to tell us something? Is that coming back? That's vintage MJF. He obviously made reference to, we just, as we record this, it's a day after the 3-year anniversary of the CM Punk match with the dog collar. Is that the reference? Is part of the vintage MJF presentation going to involve a return in Wardlow, slide in the ring, but back to MJF as he kind of returns to his employ, basically. And as part of MJF going all the way back, he's got Wardlow back under his.
You fantasy book this every week.
I love it. But
I think Wardlow's finished.
Possibly, yeah. So if not Wardlow, this ring that has been, kind of not even a background presence in the story, but something that has been scaled down as the hatred has been scaled up, I think will be the difference maker.
Yeah.
I think he will use it to win in some capacity, and it'll tether this Revolution win to all of the other kind of things that he's spoken about in his and it's going way, way, way back to the stuff that started the making of the MJF character. I think we'll see him beat Hangman Page that way, and in his mind, turn up on Wednesday or turn up whenever he returns to AEW as the great, back to the top of the card for me.
Yeah.
And then we find his next diversion.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. I think that's the route.
Yeah.
I don't think, and this is me, I don't think Jeff Jarrett's involved. I've seen a bit of that. I genuinely think that's just been parked. Yeah.
I think what happened to Jeff Jarrett was
yeah. I think so.
Gone. GOONNEE.
That's correct.
Gone.
Gone.
Right, 2 more to preview before we wrap up. I am nervous. I am a pessimist by nature. I am also apparently a goldfish because we are just, 2 months and 3 days removed from the match of the year between Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd. A middling effort against Brian Cage on TV, and 2 slight botches and a slow-moving performance in an otherwise very, very good Target Grand Slam Australia.
Yeah.
They've somewhat dampened my enthusiasm about the Kenny Omega return, because 5 minutes in the finish of that Gabe Kidd match, you think, give him the belt, give him the belt, give him the belt, give him the belt. Now, stop pissing about and give him the belt now. I don't know, man. But here's the thing with Omega. I think his new strategy is he doesn't want to be that weekly pro wrestler who just does like 3.5 in his sleep, but nothing really ambitious. Like the Brian Cage match, he doesn't want to do that most weeks. I don't know what if he just treats it like I'm just going to do so much intense training and preparation before a big match and then do that once a month for the rest of my days in AEW.
Yeah.
We'll see. But he looks a bit slower. But he's not been that kinetic, extremely fast Kenny Omega for quite some time. He looked even slower than he has in recent years. He's my favorite of all time. I'm allowed to say this about him. What I'm trying to say is I think you're going to see some... I think you're going to hear the dreaded... Oh, it's methodical, this. It's Kenny Omega, right? I just think maybe one or two match. I expect this to be the third or fourth best match on the show. You know what I mean? Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita. Maybe this is a little bit dampened my enthusiasm or anticipation because they had a match at, All Out, as they were involved in the trios match at All In 2023, and then they had the singles at All Out, and obviously that's part of the basis of this is Konosuke Takeshita. Is he better than Omega? Well, he beat him twice in 6 days. That All Out match, I thought was, it looked like it was agony. It was really exhilarating at points. A bit soulless for me for a Kenny match. Not my favorite Kenny match. Maybe the fact that I didn't really rate the first singles meeting that highly is making me feel a little bit downbeat, or his recent form of not being, it's taken, you can see it's evidently taking a lot out of Kenny to be Kenny again, more so than ever before.
Yeah.
Me and you both had the exact same reaction separately when we watched Grand Slam Australia separately of, it's one thing to not be able to run around as fast as he used to. What's happened to the V-trigger?
Yeah.
There's not much behind it.
Where's the bit where you turn it up and prove that you actually just like telling the story in the first bit and then it's like there's the kill shot? And
I would never write him off. I'd never say he's finished. He had the Gabe Kidd match this year and we are only in March. And he
loves this. That's the thing. He loves this. You know, you taught me that. He loves this specific strain of like almost too real for its own good. Yeah, nobody else is on his page and he likes it that way.
Yeah, he wants people to think that his quote stuck with me after the Tiger Driver discourse of, I want people to be terrified about me.
Yeah.
I want people to think, Jesus Christ, he's finished. Get a stretcher, get a gurney, hell no, get an airlift because that man needs emergency treatment right now. That's what he tries to do. Like, he's amazing at selling. He is. I just worry about my Kenny, my goat. And if he still can... I mean, the guy had diverticulitis. The guy had to relearn how to go to the toilet. You know, it's... I would just, for my own sake, I would like confirmation that after all these years, and it's fine to do this, I just want to be grateful to have Kenny at all.
Yeah.
Maybe after Sunday, it's like, right, okay, we've got to lower your expectations a little bit, you know? Maybe now is the time to do that. I'll happily do it because I've got a parasocial relationship with him. And I love him. And I'm sorry, I make no mistake about that. But maybe it is time. I don't know. Just the last two matches. And he's got the perfect excuse. It's as if he's dogging it.
No.
We should be grateful that we've got him at all. I need to enter that mindset, I think. Then again, he could have the match of the friggin' night.
Well, I think this is all the more reason why he wins. I know we disagree on the finish, why Takeshita wins. Like, everything you're saying means that a Kenny Omega win, even if the match ends up being a match of the night contender, runs the risk of feeling like a forced, that the wrong guy won here. And then how's Kenny Omega the wrong guy? I feel like I've seen the vision, and I'm probably going to be wrong as early as Monday. I think Takeshita wins here, and he's got Omega's number, and that's the story. It doesn't matter. It's 2023 on now. Like, he's surpassed him.
Yeah.
The video that we saw on Dynamite was the reminder of where they used to be, and it's to exist to show you where they are now, theoretically. In line with that, because I do genuinely believe it's a story they're telling, with a destination, which I will get to. Ospreay is going to beat Fletcher. And next month, at Dynasty, a year on from that match, kicking ass last time, Ospreay is going to beat Takeshita for the title.
That was at Revolution.
Sorry, Revolution. So but Ospreay is going to beat Takeshita for this title, and it's going to sit with everybody again that Ospreay's Ospreay's past Omega. He's past him. We're going to go to All In, where Omega and Okada will fight for Okada's Continental title, which he has held now for, well, it'll be a year, pretty much as of now, isn't it, when he beat him?
Yeah.
He's
He
going to
beat him on the big business.
Yeah, like this
the
18
week after.
This 18-month reign, which AEW present as quite similar to his record-setting IWGP reign, and who stopped that? Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Kenny Omega is going to beat Kazuchika Okada at All In Dallas in the Omega Okada rematch that we've all pined for. It's going to rule. It's going to kick ass, right? And he's going to win this belt, and he's going to make you feel like, there he is, there's Omega. Like, you thought Ospreay was leagues in front of him. He's not. Like, they're still right there. Where does that take you to? Forbidden Door for the unification match in Will Ospreay's back garden, because Forbidden Door 2 happened in...
How's that match work?
It's going to be in a garden. They're not going to get a big building. They're not going to Wembley. The Ospreay Omega 3 is going to happen in England, because Ospreay Omega 2 happened in Canada and Ospreay Omega 1 happened in Japan.
They're shared home. And
shared homes right through at the end. Decider, pick them. The belts get unified. Everybody gets what they want. And then we finally get the test of who is actually better. Has Ospreay just cleared him, or has Omega still got a dog in him and he unifies the belts and he beats Will Ospreay? And I think that's the order of events.
Yeah.
You still get your title unification. You still get your Omega Okada. You get your Ospreay Omega story coming back to Forbidden Door, where they've had their, like, you know, what many consider a best match ever. And you get to do it all in this 2025 Kenny Omega return story.
Yeah.
And all of that is why I think he loses here.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go a different approach to the finish and the result and what happens after and all that. One more thing. Kenny Omega, the trend is, I think that we saw it in the Takeshita match at All Out. We certainly saw it at Forbidden Door 2023. I think the idea was, right, and we saw it with Gabe Kidd. The idea is, I can't do it as often, but I'm going to try and give the fans everything they want in a Kenny Omega match, just like densely packed in. So Gabe Kidd, Wrestle Kingdom, takes like some sickening unprotected chair shots to the head. Against Takeshita, he takes what looks kind of like a suplex or a Death Valley driver. He basically takes something that you would have seen Misawa take, right? At Forbidden Door 2023, he takes the Tiger Driver directly onto the head. Mm-hmm. Against Ospreay, a big match before that, he does a Avalanche Kreuzrath off the top rope, which the execution on that was impossible and absolutely amazing. I think he's going to do something in this match where you think, what the hell are you doing? Mm-hmm. I want you to feel like I need to be airlifted out of the goddamn building. That's what he said. And I think to give the fans their money's worth, or how can I give them the Kenny Omega experience without doing the Kenny Omega schedule? I'm just going to do one absolutely horrifying thing per match going forward.
Top rope Snapdragon making a
something
comeback?
like that. Yeah, something vile is going to happen in this match, which I think will be worked with a methodical pace that we're just going to have to get used to. Like, even more methodical. He's been so good at hiding that he doesn't zip around the place like he used to.
Yeah.
Like the Ospreay match at Wrestle Kingdom being the best example of that. But I think it will take some getting used to, and we'll be attuned to the wavelength on Sunday without being blown away. Flowers match of the night. I cannot wait to hold my hands up on Monday if I'm being too cynical. Omega's going to win. The whole theme of this year seems to be 2024 is not the new 2021. 2025 is the year of go about correcting things a little bit more quietly than last year, so people can maybe believe it, with a little bit of, you know, blushing of, we talked too big a game last year. Let's just do it. Tell people we're promoting, because Tony can't say I'm in the weeds, we're doing this, blah, blah, blah. A little bit less brash about things, okay? So I think he's realised, mistakes were made. I listened to too many bad ideas last year, etc., etc. Another mistake was made was introducing too many men's singles titles. They will be unified. Omega is going to beat Takeshita for this title. He will unify it just to add a little bit more. It's fake stakes, but stakes to the all-in match. Ospreay and Omega will happen, but I think it'll happen later than you think. Ospreay did the interview with Chris Van Vliet, got loads of quotes, loads of coverage. He got profiled in a Yahoo Sports piece ahead of the pay-per-view. It's interesting that they're doing it around him more so than Moxley or Omega or MJF or Hangman. It seems like he's doing more media than usual, Ospreay.
I'll tell you, one of the quiet corrections would be if they put Omega in a singles match in England later this year.
Yeah.
There's a country
Well,
clamour for that.
I'm missing it, so hopefully not. I'm on holiday.
Oh, no way. Forbidden Door.
You can have a trios match with Juice Robinson for all I care. I can't be there. I'm not going to be there. And I'm a little bit...
Changing tone of the coverage versus Wembley in 2023. I think it's good, in fact.
Yeah, if
anything.
Last thing to preview, and we'll be quick, is Mox versus Cope. Cope has said, I'm paraphrasing, he wanted an attritional old-school NWA-style title match here. You're not going to see 80% worked punches and some small packages and chops and like real fighting. You're not. There's going to be high spots. There's going to be signatures. It's going to be in the same rhythm. We'll see. What if they just punch each other in the face for 90% of this?
Is he spearing Moxley through a flaming table here? Is he reliving
I didn't see that in Crockett, mate.
No, but he thinks in his mind Crockett and WrestleMania 22 is the same.
Maybe.
We know this about Cope's belief in his own law. Let's give the people what they want, Sidge. Because it's not this match. We know that much. And I couldn't care less about them.
I will say this: the segments over the past 2 or 3 weeks have been more over in the buildings than in our homes, anyway.
I liked the go home stuff as well with Wheelie Eater. I did. Let's give the people what they want, and let's get to Greg's or quits.
Yes.
So for those that don't know,
I don't think this match will over deliver. I think they'll try and go slow to differentiate it from the other matches on the card, and I think it'll just lose the building.
Yeah,
I just can't see this working, man.
No, me neither. I can't forecast particularly entertaining chemistry between two. Good, they'll be happy with it. They'll be like, this is a real stuff, man. But boring. Yeah, we had a bet a good while ago now, a pasty bet. We liked
just
them in
did work punches for 90% of it. I might like it.
You reckon?
It's better than watching them do their spots.
Yeah, true. I can't manifest a version of this match I like. So if I am even remotely entertained, they've done a good job.
Yeah,
really. Yeah, we had a bet.
That's the thing. It's so weird. Maybe before we get to the bet, very quickly, because I do want to say one thing earnestly about this, is that maybe doing the worst and most tedious and most cringeworthy, fake, intense build of all time is that you become so icked, so put out and put off, that doing the worst build is actually better than doing a pretty strong build, because your expectations are so bedrock low that you think, oh, bloody hell, this is actually good. It's a waste of my time. And
2002 to 2022 WWE a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's a complete waste of the episodic TV format, but nonetheless, indirectly effective. Sorry, talk about the bet and we will close it. We'll close the deal.
Me and Sidge in January, when I was nowhere near as pessimistic as my esteemed colleague here, thought there is Sidge. There is absolutely no way, my friend, my mate, my colleague, that they're going to drag this garbage to March. They wouldn't do that to us. They wouldn't do it to us. And then one little boy who never lost faith and having no faith said, Hamflett, what are you watching, mate? This is going all the way to Revolution. And we had a pasty on it and I lost. I haven't bought that pasty yet because the bell's got a ring, but it's going to ring. It's a main event. So I've offered Sidge Greg's or quits. You talk about no stakes. This is stakes, baked steaks. Because I've offered him a double or quit bet that I won't buy passes for anybody, or I'll buy him two. And that is that I believe...
I want them on the same day.
Oh my God, double pasty Monday. John Moxley will not leave.
Do you want me to take your credit card, debit card, and go to Greg's myself?
Mebs. Yeah, I'm on like...
Because you're on your trying
50 odd day.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah. The idea that John Moxley will not leave Revolution is what I'm offering you. Not leave Revolution as champion. So that could be Cope. It could be this cash-in with a Christian Cage, who is not booked on this show and would certainly line up nicely against the Swerve Strickland #1 contender. He will not leave Revolution as champion. As part of In the Weeds, Tony Khan quietly acknowledging all the things that need fixing, one of them being this main event picture with the Death Riders. Are you willing to take the steak?
I believe that Mox will retain at Revolution with the help of either Jay White or Wheeler the Red Herring Utah. Ergo, let's do a big slapper so that the audio listeners can hear this handshake.
There we go. Greg's.
Yeah.
Greg's or quits. Possibly Jack Perry and New Death Rider, we think maybe as well.
That's another thing I've seen floating around. I want to see floating around your opinions and your feedback. You can do so in the comments section on YouTube or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Give us a follow. Whilst you're there, you can follow my esteemed fellow Dudley boy, Michael Hamflett, at
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow me at Sidgwick. What day is this going out?
Don't know. Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
Might be Saturday.
Either way, you can get your SmackDown preview, or you can get Wrestle Culture and stick around next week when we will review Revolution itself on Monday. So stick around for that. Don't forget to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Thank you to Michael Hamflett for joining me today. Thank you very much for listening or viewing today. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Revolution. And we will see you soon.